What's up, amigos? Welcome to the GoldUp. Today is day 13 on my do-yourself exposure unit, and today I'm finally going to test it. So I finally cleaned the glass on the one I just added. I prepared some brand new emulsion, and I'm about to coat my screens. Now I would have done another separate video on how to coat a screen, but I won't have enough time right now to do that. So right now I'm gonna coat them. You just see me a glimpse of me doing it. I won't explain that much. I'll just do it real quick. Wait for those to dry. Come back and start exposing. So I have my emulsion. Just prepare brand new. Get my scoop quarter. But now I'm trying to figure out where to coat my screen, since before I did use my old table to coat them, but I moved that out to bring in the new one. So I might just coat them up here on my palette. For those who are just starting out, coating a screen when you first start, you're gonna have horrible coats, man. I still remember mine, man. Really horrible. But with the more practice you take, the more practice you have, you'll get better at it. Now, if you're starting out, I highly recommend you doing this in a light safe room, since this is light sensitive. But as you get better, you'll move faster, so you won't have to worry about, light sensitive room. But that's why I have the lights on right now. But okay, so let's start with my screens. Let's start with this small one, my eBay screen. There are a lot of techniques on how to coat a screen. Some people do one coat on the bottom side and one coat on the inside where your ink goes, and that's it. Other people do it, they do 2 and 2. You can say all depend on you, on the way you like it. But for me, I just go one on the outside and one on the inside, but I always do the inside last. That way when I do my last coat, it'll force the emulsion outside of the screen, on the bottom side of the screen. Because the last thing you want to do is have your thick side on the inside, because that's where your ink and squeegee goes, so you don't want that. I forgot I had emulsion here when I was preparing my emulsion, so let me get a new one. Yeah, because I already got emulsion on my screen, on my frame. Like I mentioned, it's gonna take practice, a lot of practice. See, not that bad. I remember when I first started, I will get right here emulsion all over the place, big coats right here. I'll start dripping on the frame. Horrible. But as you get more practice, you'll get better. So don't worry about it if your first coats are really terrible. Just be patient. You'll get better, so don't worry about it. And yeah, you want to have them laying down flat like this. I'll do that right now because I don't have a drying rack. Let's do another one. Now this is a 110 mesh. Yeah, it's a 110. These ones, they take a lot of emulsion, so come on, this actually gets better. Since this does take more emulsion, I'm actually going to prepare right now. Since I know it's going to be dripping down, I lay down flat because one thing is when you coat your screens, then you let them dry. They say that it's best to have your screen this way. That we can have gravity do its work and bring the emulsion to the bottom part. And since that one's real open, if I have them laying like this, it's going to start dripping down. And I don't want that. So that's why I left the 110 mesh on the floor. This one, I'm not too worried about it. Oh, you see that right there? That's how I first started. Okay, so let this dry. But here's the little hack you could do. You could use your press to place it on here so you can lay flat. That's good. I'll turn the lights off and I'll be back when these are fully dry. Okay, amigos, so I finally let the screens dry for about like half an hour. I'm gonna first start out with actually put them on the other side where it's actually darker. I actually had it right behind me. But I'm gonna first start out with this. I forgot what mesh count this is, but it's a wood screen. Then the other ones I actually want to leave it for something important. So I'm gonna do it with this one first. I'm gonna actually use the exposure calculator, even though I already know for this one, since it is more open, it's not gonna handle the little halftones. But I'm just gonna focus more on this. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to do this. So I'm gonna take first the film to the screen. Now first I was gonna take it to the glass, but since I'm gonna be moving the sections of the film, I know I won't be able to get a perfect alignment. Put my sponge, my palette. I couldn't find anything, so I just brought some rocks from outside. Okay. This will do. There we go. Don't worry, I will find a better solution than this. But last minute, I totally forgot about bringing something heavy. So again, 15 seconds intervals. So let's start. First 15 seconds. Okay, so this is gonna take a while, so I'm gonna get back to you guys when actually in the last one and I start washing out my screen. Even though I'm gonna be doing it outside, it's completely dark. I did put my old floodlight back there, so hopefully you can see. But in the meantime, just give me a few seconds and I'll be right back. Okay, amigos, so I'm on the last one, number 10. Now these weights are nothing, man. I still remember the maestro, he'll put bigger rocks where the sponge will actually be like real thin. That's why I'm stepping down on it right now. Okay, so we're done here. Let's see the first screen. Okay, amigos, so I got done exposing my first screen. It's a white mesh, but I always end up getting problems with exposing on white mesh. But looking at the thing, the best results were between 7 and 6. Now again, I give it this 15 seconds interval, so 15, 30, 45, 60 minutes. I mean 60 seconds. So between a minute and a minute 15 seconds was good. The rest was pretty good. About the same I was getting with my floodlight, so not much of that difference, but I'm not too worried about it. But since as you saw that I will always have issues exposing my large screens. So right now I'm gonna do another screen. I'm gonna give the yellow mesh a try. I'm gonna give it 1 minute 40 seconds, the same amount of time I would give it with my old small wood screens, to see how that goes. And for the yellow mesh, I'm just gonna use the John Lennon. Now this one I actually printed on screen printing film and not the banana paper that I used to use before I actually got a hold of actual screen printing film. So we're gonna give this a try. 1 minute 40 seconds on yellow mesh with this Take this on here. See, it comes out. Okay, there we go. So I finally got done exposing my yellow mesh. I give it the exact same time I would give to my screen. You see my floodlights, and the results were amazing. I mean, way better. And even though you might say, well, it's the same time you use for your floodlights, but remember again, my floodlights before the exposure that I used before, I always have issues exposing the surrounding areas since my floodlight wouldn't actually, you know, expose the entire screen, and that little thing I used wouldn't fit these large screens. I had to place the glasses myself. But now, since I do have that table, I was able to expose the surrounding area a lot better. Right now it's still wet. Again, I normally will lay this outside and let it dry with the sun, but it is already late, so I won't be able to do that. So I'm just gonna let this air dry here by itself. But now I'm gonna expose my aluminum screens to see how those hold up. I'm gonna give it the same amount of time I will give my white mesh before this exposure unit. So I'm gonna give it 1 minute, but just to be safe, I'm gonna give it 1 minute and 15 seconds, which seems pretty decent. So let me get my first screen, and I'm gonna expose this one. I'm gonna first expose my Chinese screen. I'm just gonna use this one. You already see me do this. This is actually the design I used to test this on the screen. I'm gonna do this one because I want to make sure that I get this entire film exposed correctly. Take this one out. Okay, right into an issue. So this film does go all the way around. It covers the entire film. The sponge I'm using does not cover everything. So I'm going to use something else to cover the film. I'll use this. No, it doesn't cover everything. Not close enough. GoldUp screen. This white mesh, I believe it was a 160 mesh. I bought this from eBay. Pretty good. Not that bad. Look at that. Again, it's still wet. There's no sun right now. I got around the same results from a floodlight again. But the problem I have the most was with these GoldUp screens, man. It just washed off, man. I just decided to wash it off because it was already like coming off, so there's no point of keeping it. So I just scrubbed it with the brush. This is a 110 mesh. Most likely it's because the emulsion wasn't completely dry. Because when I coat these screens, man, these take a lot of emulsion, man. I mean, a lot. And by the time I let these dry, I touched the wood screen, I touched this eBay screen, the yellow screen. Those were dry. But this one was still like, you say like humid. So yeah, so I got to test more on those GoldUp screens. I don't know what's up with that. Most likely it is because I don't have it. I don't give enough time to let it dry. Again, I get about like half an hour to dry. And another problem might be as well is the emulsion that I use. I mean, I do use a very low quality emulsion. I mean, it's the cheapest one you can find here in Mexico. But I do plan on one day upgrading my emulsion. But right now, it's not the best option since I'm not always printing. And a lot of those emulsion, for example, the dual cure where you mix the diazo with the emulsion, or you activate the entire container. For me, if I activate the entire container, it's gonna go to waste. Like I mentioned, where's that? This is my old one. This has been here for almost a year and a half, and there's still some left over in here. So I don't go through that much emulsion. And this emulsion, again, you can prepare only the amount you need. That's the only reason I'm using this, because one is affordable. I'm not paying that much, and also since I don't have to prepare the entire emulsion, it won't go to waste. Like for example, I'm only preparing portions, and I still have some left. I mean, it still wouldn't waste. Imagine if I had one month to use in this entire container. Yeah, that would just be throwing money out the window. So that's why I'm using this for now. But later on, hopefully, I will be able to get a hold of better emulsion. So I want to run into issues. So, for example, this emulsion, if I coat them, I have one day to use it. Because if I don't use it for that day, it's gonna dry and it's gonna expose itself. Even if it's completely in a dark room, it's gonna expose itself, and there's no use to that. So that's why I do want to. Another reason I want to go to better emulsion, so that way I can, coat at night, coat my screens. The next day when I come home from work, I could expose them. But if I don't have enough time to expose them, I could still wait for the following day or the following day, and I'm gonna waste. But for this one, I can't do that. So yeah, a big issue I have right now, but hopefully later on I'll resolve that. Okay, amigos, so we're back here. This is actually a few days later after I did my test on my exposure unit. Was editing the video, realized some parts were missing, and the way I ended it, I didn't like it. So I'm here, explain one more time my final thoughts on my 60-watt UV LED strip. How did it compare to my 50-watt floodlight? Well, about the same. I got the same time. Again, for yellow mesh, I did 1:40 seconds. For a white mesh, 1 minute and 1:15 seconds. No difference. The only thing that I do like about these LED strips was that since I was to make my new table, I got more coverage. Even though with the floodlights, all I had to do was, lower it. But like I mentioned, to some people where, for example, that table, if I were to, make the distance longer with a floodlight, well, that will take more room. And with these LED strips, I have very little room between the glass and the light, which left a lot more room on the bottom. Right now I'm holding it just to store things, but my original thought was to store screens, but maybe I could change that later on. But in the meantime, just cover things, just to hold random things there. So my opinion is that I'm happy with the LED strips. Not totally happy, because it didn't, I didn't get faster times in my floodlight, but at the same time I didn't get worse. So not happy and not sad at the same time. But the only issue that was having was with my aluminum screen. This is 110. Most likely, since it is more open, has more emulsion, probably will take longer to dry, because this has a big coat of emulsion. I mean, this literally took most of the emulsion I prepared. But not to worry, I'm still going to try to figure out how to get this right, trying to nail it down. But not to worry, since I do plan on, when I buy more aluminum screens, I'm going to buy more of 160 and higher. But that's all for today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you could send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. Other platform is good. But next thing to do is reclaim my screens, especially the ones I have with the 2-color halftone print. Reclaim those so I can start printing something. I might give this a try. I will give this a try, you know, this John Lennon, you know. Since this was printed with my screen printing film and not the banana paper. I mean with the banana paper, the banana paper, I got a good print. But now I'm going to try to see how it comes up with actual screen printing film. It's actually larger, so we'll give this a try. In the meantime, I don't know how to end this video, so I'll see you guys next time, amigos.